Greetings and welcome back to Asafo Academic. We got a debunk video on the chopping block. We got Stacey Abrams. I had some issues with what she said, so I had to dig into it. And my findings, I'm quite, I would say I'm satisfied with my findings. I would say this is not a complete debunk. This is, I would say, some missing context. I would say a lot of missing context, but again, for everybody, I'm not with the left, I'm not with the right, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm nonpartisan. That means I don't have allegiance to any side. I know I've been doing a lot of debunk videos on the conservative side, but the conservative side wants to spew out nonsense about history from their own perspective, so I gotta correct it. But when the left, the Democrats spew out their nonsense, I'm definitely gonna correct that as well too. I'm also keeping a tally of Joe Biden's transgressions against Black people in America as well too. So that video will come out at the proper time. But I'm fair and balanced. I look at both sides and how their rhetoric is hurting Black people. So this issue of the fetal heartbeat, I'm gonna go through this article because this is an opinion article, just so people know, defending Stacey Abrams, and I found it interesting. So I'll go through this article and then I'm going to go through some other articles from medical sources, and we're going to weigh all the facts and see what's true and what's not true. So the fetal heartbeat isn't real, at least not in the way you think. So this headline alone is comes very strong but backtracks within its own title, which is interesting. The fetal heartbeat isn't real, at least not in the way you think. So the fetal heartbeat isn't real, but they're gonna break it down because we have it all wrong. So we're thinking something is there, but it's not really there, right? So this next line, the tagline for the headline, how the far right's soft on the facts, strong on the emotional overlay milieu nurtures policies that are both dangerous and ludicrous. Look here, soft on the facts, strong on the emotional overlay. This is a run-on compound word. You've heard of compound run-on sentences. This is a run-on compound word. No word should be put together like this in this fashion, but this is politics. A lot of things, a lot of magical things that defy the rules can happen in politics, apparently. So, this is from a Dr. Esther Cho, an MSNBC opinion columnist. So, we begin. There's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. Stacey Abrams, the Democratic nominee for governor in Georgia, said this week while speaking on a panel in Atlanta. And I quote, Stacey Abrams said, "It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control over a woman's body away from her." So within that sentence itself, she only said two lines. There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. So that's the first claim. There's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. The second claim, it is a manufactured sound. So she said there's no heartbeat and there's a manufactured sound. So she's saying there's no heartbeat and the sound is fake and is designed for political reasons for men to take control of a woman's body, right? So we're going to get into more of this, but on face value, it looks like she's denying the heartbeat at 6 weeks, essentially. So Abrams is being attacked by far right media for this comment. So this is culture war stuff going on. So this is why this opinion piece was written. One Fox News analyst called it an outright lie, stating, "So really the heart starts beating at 3 weeks." Another conservative commentator took issue on the grounds that hearing my baby's heartbeats was one of the most exciting, liberating, and most beautiful moments of my entire life. And they put in brackets irrelevant. The kind of soft on the facts, strong on the emotional overlay Milu. This is essentially saying the Republicans are engaging with their feelings over facts. That's what they're trying to say, but this is just a very sad and poor attempt. And this is a run-on compound word. I mean, no word in the English language is strung together like this, but I digress. So it's basically saying that nurtures policies that are both dangerous and ludicrous. For example, abortion bans that begin before many women could even possibly even know they are pregnant, or bills that prohibit ending a ectopic pregnancy, which can be immediately life-threatening to the pregnant woman. The latter includes an infamous Ohio bill that proposed reimplanting an ectopic into a uterus, a medically impossible procedure. Going on attack underscores a fear of the accurate for Abrams' remarks are difficult to assail. At 6 weeks of pregnancy, there is no heart, there is no sound. If this were a Saturday Night Live episode of Coffee Talk, the host would say an embryonic heartbeat is neither a heart nor a beat. Discuss. So, on top of the very bad run-on compound word, this is from a doctor. A doctor wrote this. Apparently, there's no editors editing the doctors. Um, she's trying to tell us that there's no heart at 6 weeks, but nobody said that there was a heart at 6 weeks. So she's trying to say because there's no heart, there is no real heartbeat. And I'll get into it, but I'll finish this because it's almost done. Historically, the heart was seen as the respiratory of the soul, intellect, and emotion. Despite tremendous advances in our understanding of human anatomy and physiology, we retain the inclination to imbue even the whisper of a heart's presence with outsized emotional significance. But a human life is more than a heartbeat, and a heartbeat is insufficient to produce a human, not least when it only reflects periodic electrical activity produced by a clump of precursor cells. So the heart at 6 weeks is not fully developed. A human life is more than a heartbeat, and a heartbeat is insufficient to produce a human. But you see, this is why they call it the development pregnancy. They call the pregnancy a development, and we have development stages. So nobody's arguing that a fetus is as developed as a baby. It's just being stated that the heart the beating of a heart starts at 6 weeks, whether it's developed or not. It begins at 6 weeks. But because of political purposes, I'll continue. What we call a heartbeat can carry special meaning for many people at an early pregnancy appointment, particularly if the pregnancy is desired. Even if the pregnancy already been revealed by other means, the heartbeat seems more concrete than a line on a test stick. But that meaning, as Abrams stated, is a social construct that has more to do with the anticipation of future outcomes and little to do with what is actually present in the uterus at that point. So, this idea that the heartbeat is where was it again? It's a social construct in anticipation of the future. I mean, anything can be a social construct by that definition. But this is why we have development, the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, but I'll continue. As with much language in medicine, the term carries unintended implications. It's reasonable to expect that a heartbeat refers to the movement or sound coming from an organ called the heart. Yet at 6 weeks of pregnancy, which is actually 4 weeks after fertilization, because the confusing way we date pregnancies, it's really not confusing if you understand women's ovulation and the ovulation time and periods is really not that hard to understand. It's not confusing, but this doctor wants to make it confusing. It's actually her job to teach people about these things, but instead she just wants to say it's confusing as if we're all stupid and we all don't know what we are, what we learned in grade school, but it merely reflects electrical activity produced by a tiny amorphous clump of cells. So this, here's that word again, clump of cells. Within the less than half an inch mass, there is not yet any structure recognizable as a heart, no pumping of blood, no circulatory system within which it could be pumped, and no developed end organs to pump into it. Of course not. It's called a fetal heartbeat and not a full heartbeat. So she's trying to diminish the term heartbeat, but it even says in the title the fetal heartbeat. So I mean it's very disingenuous, but I haven't even gotten into it. The cells generate electrical activity because that is the nature of those cells. Heart tissue grown in a lab will also pulsate, as will cells dissolved down from a heart and no longer organized into the structure of the original organ, and the ultrasound machine in turn translates such activity into a low audible whir that is a product of the machine itself rather than the amplification of any existing sound. Okay, so that's a very big claim. So the machine is not a real sound, it's from the machine itself, is also being claimed. So fetal heartbeat is not what it seems. Fetal heartbeat is not a developed heart, so it can't really be a heartbeat. It's just a clump of cells with electrical activity. And the machine is not the actual heart, but it's the machine itself. Detecting this heartbeat in quotations in clinical practice is helpful in a number of ways. It can confirm the diagnosis of a pregnancy. Oh, you don't say. As it is condition specific, it allows us to estimate gestational age, and when there are concerns about pregnancy loss, the presence, absence, or change of the heartbeat can be informative about viability, a term that means nothing more than the pregnancy is likely to continue. I mean, outside of people who want abortions, there's a vast majority who want to go through pregnancy and childbirth. So very disingenuous to say the least. I understand people want to have abortions, they want their right to abortions. That's fine. I'm not arguing that. I would never argue a woman's right to have an abortion because I believe two people in a healthy relationship want to go through the process of childbirth and pregnancy. So I'm not too worried about people who are not at that stage yet. So the doctor had a miscarriage, and I knew in an instant at my second ultrasound when what I'd heard earlier as a brisk whoosh had become plodgy slow. The final report read non-viable pregnancy. So it seems like she had a miscarriage. So maybe, I mean, I'm just guessing here, allegedly, she's not too fond of childbirth. And because she wasn't able to go through childbirth, she wants to firmly align herself with the abortion rights. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But I want to dig a little bit into the we're gonna go through the development. So the fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks. Here we have the embryo at 8 weeks, the fetus at 12 weeks, right? So the first trimester of pregnancy is very exciting and your baby experiences many changes. The first trimester of pregnancy begins at conception and ends at the 12th week. So right here, the fetus at 12 weeks, is the end of the first trimester. The second trimester begins at week 13 and ends at week 28. So 13 all the way down to 28, pretty much here at this stage. It's formed a lot more than the embryo stage, as we can see at 28. So at 29 till birth is the third trimester. At week 32, your baby's bones are soft but fully formed. Your baby begins to move more. They can open and close their eyes and they practice breathing. Although the lungs are not fully developed, your baby has begun gain weight. At about half a pound a week, their body has begun to store vitamins. So that's basically the three stages, the three trimesters, up to 12 weeks. 13 up to 28, 29 till birth to fully form. So nobody is going to argue that a heartbeat at 6 weeks is a fully developed heartbeat. I mean, to even make this argument is insane. It really is insane. So we'll continue on to the first article. When does a fetus have a heartbeat? So let's check medical news today and make sure they're legit in the information about us, about medical news today. As an organization, MNT strives for a deeper understanding of health. Medical News Today, part of Red Ventures, is one of the fastest growing health information sites in the United States. Every month, more than 85 million people from across the globe to Medical News Today for our in-depth health information and latest news in medical research. Our journalists get under the skin of health and medicine. We believe that knowledge enables the pursuit of good health and well-being. Using peer-reviewed studies, medical experts, and reputable sources, our passionate and curious team of writers and editors unravels the complexities of medical research and science, breaking it down to give you clear, objective, and accurate information. Our content is science-led, facts-first, inquisitive, and always approachable. We aim to empower our readers to live their strongest, healthiest lives. So people who are looking for abortions is not going to be coming to this site. So people who want to go through the pregnancy process, the father and the mother, right? A fetus goes through many stages of development. One of the milestones is when the heart begins to beat. Below, we look into the timeline of a fetus developing a heartbeat and describe how and when a healthcare provider can detect it. When does a fetus have a heartbeat? Before about week 8 of pregnancy, a doctor may refer to the fetus as an embryo. The heart of an embryo starts to beat from around 5 to 6 weeks of pregnancy. Also, it may be possible to see the first visible sign of embryo, known as the fetal pole at this stage. The heart of a fetus is fully developed by the 10th week of pregnancy. Learn more about the development of the heart from week 5 to 10 below. So here's a chart. 5th week, the developing heart is made up of 2 tubes that have fused in the middle, creating a trunk with 4 tubes branching off. The heart begins to beat, and it may be possible to detect it using vaginal ultrasound. 6th week, the heart of the embryo has changed dramatically. The basic heart tube has looped, forming an S shape and creating an area for the ventricles. We're going to jump to 9th and 10th weeks. The aorta and pulmonary vein form. By the 10th week, the fetal heart will have developed fully. Week 10, the heart has developed fully. So this is what we're talking about in terms of development, but in terms of the debate, it's either you're born or you're a clump of cells. I think it's very disingenuous for people who go through the process of childbirth like we've been doing time in millennia. But I'm going to go into the next article. Boom, Johns Hopkins. So if you've been living under a rock, you should know Johns Hopkins. They're official. I'm not even going to go through the About Us page. I'm just going to go to it. Fetal heart monitoring. What is it? Monitoring measures the heart rate and rhythm of your baby fetus. This lets your healthcare provider see how your baby is doing. Your healthcare provider may do fetal heart monitoring during late pregnancy and labor. The average fetal heart rate is between 110 and 160 beats per minute. It can vary by 5 to 25 beats per minute. The fetal heart rate may change as your baby responds to conditions in your uterus. An abnormal fetal heart rate may mean that your baby is not getting enough oxygen or that there are problems. There are two ways to do fetal heart monitoring: external and internal. External fetal heart monitoring is a method uses a device to listen and record your baby's heartbeat through your belly abdomen. One type of monitor is a Doppler ultrasound device. Let's jump into internal. Fetal heart rate monitoring is a method uses a thin wire electrode put on your baby's scalp. The wire runs from the baby's through your cervix. It is connected to the monitor. This method gives better readings because things like movement don't affect it, but it could only be done to if the fluid-filled sac that surrounds the baby during pregnancy, the amniotic sac, has broken and cervix is opened. So why might I need a fetal heart monitoring? Fetal heart rate monitoring is especially helpful if you have a high-risk pregnancy. Your pregnancy is high risk if you have diabetes or high blood pressure. It is also high risk if your baby is not developing or growing as it should. Fetal heart rate monitoring may be used to check how preterm labor medicines are affecting your body. So, fetal heart rate. So we get into another article. How early can you hear baby's heartbeat on ultrasound by ear? So this is from Healthline. Let us check Healthline. Got another random site. So we're gonna make sure the paperwork is proper. Okay. You're on the journey to health and wellness, and we're right there with you. Healthline covers all facts of physical and mental health openly and objectively because we're here for the whole person and that hopefully the whole fetus for your whole life. Let's skip down here. Health seekers have made us the fastest growing health information site. Over 200 million people turn to Healthline every month. Whether you're, let's see, trying to find credentials here. Trying to find credentials. See here, Healthline's medical affairs team ensures that Healthline's content, products, and services uphold the highest standards of medical integrity. Our dedicated team manages an extensive medical network of over 150 healthcare professionals providing medical review, expert point of views, and clinical guidance. So there is their resume. So, baby's heartbeat. Hearing a baby's heartbeat for the first time is an exciting milestone for new parents to be. New parents to be. A fetal heartbeat may first be detected by a vaginal ultrasound as early as 5.5 to 6 weeks after gestation. That's when the fetal pole, the first visible sign of developing embryo, can sometimes be seen. but between 6.5 to 7 weeks after gestation, a heartbeat can be better assessed. That's when your doctor may schedule your first abdominal or vaginal ultrasound to check for signs of a healthy developing pregnancy. What to expect. So we're not going to get into it. Or actually, yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of this. After a positive pregnancy test, your doctor may recommend you schedule an early pregnancy ultrasound scan around 7.5 to 8 weeks of pregnancy. So this is pretty much the earliest you can get. Some medical practices don't schedule the first ultrasound between 11 and 14 weeks. You see, your doctor may recommend this scan as early as 6 weeks if you have a prior medical condition, have had a miscarriage, or had difficulty maintaining a pregnancy in the past. So that's why you're going to get ultrasound in seems like in most cases, right? Next article, whattoexpect.com. Who is whattoexpect.com? About us. What to Expect is the world's best known, most trusted pregnancy and parenting brand. The What to Expect brand mission drives everything we do and is simple as it is powerful. Support happy, healthy pregnancies and happy, healthy babies. What can I say? So, founder Heidi Murkoff, alongside a team of award winning journalists, editors, physicians, and other pregnancy and parenting health experts, our team is committed to high standards of objectivity, accuracy, and relevancy in coverage and adheres to the quality standards set forth by the Trust Project. So, that is what to expect from What to Expect. So, up here, your baby's heartbeat. That telltale thump of a baby to be's heart is one of the most exciting sounds expected parents can hear. Here, all you need to know about how your baby grows this essential system. So, since you found out you were pregnant, one milestone you've likely eagerly awaited is hearing the thump of your baby's heartbeat. Though it probably will sound the same to you from checkup to checkup, there are big changes happening to the heart and circulatory system every week of your pregnancy. When does your baby have a heartbeat? By week 5 of pregnancy, the cluster of cells that will become your baby's heart has begun to develop and pulse. So the way they worded this, the cluster of cells that will become your baby's heart, is sort of using the progressive language of the clump of cells, but at least they're acknowledging that it's part of development. If you have a first trimester ultrasounds around or after week 6 of pregnancy, your practitioner or trained sonographer will check on the embryonic cardiac activity. The ultrasound will also confirm your estimated due date and how many babies you are carrying. The chambers of your baby's heart will have developed enough to be seen more clearly on ultrasound by week 7 to 10 to 20 of pregnancy. So if we go back here, 17 to 20. So this phase in the second trimester, early in the second trimester, I should say. When can you hear your baby's heartbeat? So this is a very interesting question. You may see and or hear cardiac activity for the first time from week 6 of a pregnancy or later if you have an ultrasound at one of your early prenatal appointments. Through the timing of when it can be detected can vary a bit. Can't hear the heartbeat yet? Don't worry. It likely just means that you're a shy guy is hiding in the corner of your uterus or has his back facing out, making it trickier to pick up on a ultrasound. So they're saying you can hear the heartbeat, but is it because of the machine or can you actually hear it? That was not actually answered. So this article I found, I think answers a lot of questions. It's a very short article. This was actually the shortest, one of the shortest articles, but I'll get into it because this is from Live Science. If you don't know Live Science, you need to check with, you need to check your sources. You need to put them on. You need to put them on your list of science news. So is a fetal heartbeat really a heartbeat at 6 weeks? This is an interesting question. September 1st, 2021. What exactly do we mean when we talk about a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks of pregnancy? So, so this editor's note, this article was originally published on May 17, 2019 and updated on September 1st, 2021 before the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade on June 24th, 2022, thus eliminating the constitutional right to abortion in the US. Therefore, the legal information in this article may no longer be accurate. So far this year, 11 states have enacted 90 laws meant to restrict abortion, the most in a single year since the 1973 Roe versus Wade ruling. Now, lawmakers in 9 U.S. states have passed laws banning abortions when a fetal heartbeat can be detected or at 6 weeks of pregnancy, according to data from the Guttmacher Institute, a nonprofit organization for sexual and reproductive health research and advocacy. So this was all politics. But Stacey Abrams didn't mention that. That's why I say this is not completely debunked, but there's a lot of missing context because she's speaking about this in law terms, in constitutional terms, quote unquote, constitutional terms, right? So 9 states have laws banning abortions at a fetal heartbeat. So I could see more why she said what she said. But what exactly do we mean when we talk about a fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks of pregnancy? Although some people might picture a heart-shaped organ beating inside a fetus, this is not the case. But this was never the case because we know that an embryo is not fully developed. So if we know that an embryo is not fully developed, everything within that embryo is not fully developed. So rather, at 6 weeks of pregnancy, an ultrasound can detect a little flutter in the area that will become the future heart of the baby. Dr. Sama Aftab, medical director of Fetal Care Center at Nicholas Children's Hospital in Miami. This flutter happens because a group of cells that will become the future pacemaker of the heart gain the capacity to fire electrical signals, she said. But the heart is far from fully formed at this stage. So this is a lot like the MSNBC column that the heart is not fully formed. The beat isn't audible. If doctors put a stethoscope up to a woman's belly this early in her pregnancy, they would not hear a heartbeat. Aftab told Live Science. What's more, it isn't until the 8th week of pregnancy that the baby is called a fetus. Prior to that, it is still considered an embryo, according to Cleveland Health Clinic. So this is getting a bit into semantics because they're saying, oh, technically it's just a embryo and it's not a fetus. It's not until the 8th week it's called a fetus. So the fetal heartbeat at 6 weeks really doesn't exist, right? So it's a lot of semantics to say the least, as if we people don't understand the stages and the beginning stages. So the heart begins at 6 weeks, but it's just a clump of cells. It's not fully formed. It can be a real heartbeat. But it looks like the claim that you can't hear the heartbeat might actually be true. So what are we learning from, what are we hearing from those machines? Is it from actually from the machine, or is it actually are they actually expanding or increasing the audibility of the heartbeat? Although a lot of weight seems to be put on the detection of the flutter, by no means does it translate to viability of the heart or viability of the pregnancy. Amazing. So the heartbeat does not translate to the viability of the pregnancy. I mean, I guess what she's trying to say is the heartbeat is not the only factor that they look at, but I would say a heart beating is pretty much one of the main factors of human life, if you ask me. The heart still has a lot of development to undergo before it is fully formed. Indeed, the entire first trimester of pregnancy is a time of orogenogenesis, or the formation of organs. So, I mean, I would say this article is a bit politically skewed, but it's fair. So we go back. The fetal heartbeat isn't real, at least not in the way you think. I would say that they're creating an argument that wasn't there. Nobody's saying a fetal heartbeat is a fully formed heartbeat, because nobody says an embryo is a fully formed baby that is about to be birthed by their mother. So, a lot of missing context, very disingenuous. Is what she's saying wrong? I mean, the way she said it, she left out a lot of context. So technically, yeah, she was wrong. Um, I'm not sure about the manufactured heartbeat, but that was the missing context. I mean, anybody in the audience, we're not, in terms of teaching Roe versus Wade to new people, they have to understand that, this concept, I guess, through the progressive circles, they understand this concept of the heart not being a real heartbeat. But to the rest of people, it's going to be hard to convince the masses that, especially people want to be parents and want to go through that process, that the fetal heartbeat is not real. The fetus, I guess, is not a fetus until 8 weeks, but the heart starts developing, whether we call it a fetal heartbeat or embryonic heartbeat, something starts beating at 6. So we can't take that away. Just let's just say we can't hear it 100%. It doesn't take away the fact that the heart is still beating, but the context given with the 9 states, even with the 9 states does not represent all of America, and it doesn't represent the world as well too. So she could have been a bit more specific, but this is, I would say, debunked, a lot of context missing, but this another day of research. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed how I went through this issue. I would say I was very fair and balanced. I really had a big issue with what she said, but I looked through it and it seems like a lot of semantics, missing context, and a lot of information just purposely left out in order to have a political discussion that's simply black and white. Either you believe that there's a fetal heartbeat or you don't. So a lot of the nuance was erased, but that's politics for you. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out to the next video. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.